In this video we are going to talk about the Jacob Wetterling solved. Before starting this video, like this video and subscribe to our channel for future updates. Jacob Erwin Wetterling, February 17, 1978 to October 22, 1989, was a young American boy from St. Joseph, Minnesota, who was kidnapped and murdered on October 22, 1989, when he was 11 years old. For nearly 27 years, his kidnapping remained a mystery. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, BCA, discovered human bones in a meadow in Paynesville on September 1, 2016, roughly 30 miles, 48 kilometers, from the abduction site. On September 3, the family reported that the bones were those of Jacob, and that the identity of the bones had been confirmed by dental records, according to local law enforcement. Danny Heinrich, a longtime person of interest in the abduction of another youngster, 12-year-old Jared Scheierl, in the adjacent town of Cold Spring, provided the location. Heinrich admitted to kidnapping and murdering Wetterling, as well as abducting and sexually assaulting Scheierl, on September 6, 2016. Jacob Wetterling, his younger brother Trevor, and a friend, Aaron Larson, were riding their bikes home from a Tom Thumb convenience store in St. Joseph, Minnesota, where they had gone to rent a video, when Danny Heinrich, wearing a stocking cap mask and armed with an unloaded revolver, came out of a driveway and ordered the boys to throw their bikes into a ditch and lie face down on the ground. He then inquired about each boy's age. Jacob's brother was instructed to go to a nearby wooded area and not look back, or he would be shot. Heinrich then requested to see the two remaining boys' faces. He chose Jacob and urged Aaron to flee, threatening him in the same way as he did Jacob's brother. Jacob was last seen alive by anyone other than his abductor at this point. Jared Scheierl, 12, was kidnapped, sexually raped, and physically threatened by an unknown adult man on January 13, 1989, nearly 9 months before the Wetterling kidnapping. The modus operandi, according to the victim's statement, was similar to that of the Wetterling case. The attacker, later identified as Heinrich, used a gun and urged the kid to run and not look back or he would be shot. This happened 10 miles from where he later stopped the Wetterling brothers and their companion. Investigators stated in May 2014 that they were looking into a string of attempted and actual child molestations in the Paynesville region in the 2 years leading up to the Wetterling kidnapping. 5 teenage males were assaulted between the summer of 1986 and the spring of 1987, but no one was ever arrested. Authorities re-interviewed several of the victims and collaborated with the internet blogger who first revealed the information. After months of investigation and conversations with some of the victims, investigators concluded that the attacks were not random and that the perpetrator was linked to Wetterling's kidnapping, which took place only 40 minutes away from the other crime scenes. Danny James Heinrich was designated as a person of interest in Jacob Wetterling's disappearance in October 2015. On December 16, 1989, he was questioned by the FBI and a DNA sample was taken, but he was not charged with a crime and was freed. Heinrich's DNA was linked to that obtained in the case of Jared Scheierl, a 12-year-old boy who was kidnapped in neighboring Cold Spring in January 1989. Heinrich could not be apprehended and charged with the Cold Spring kidnapping because the statute of limitations had run out. Heinrich was arrested on October 28, 2015, after a search warrant was issued and child pornography was discovered in his home. Heinrich agreed to cooperate with authorities as part of a plea deal and led investigators to a burial place on September 1, 2016. Jacob's clothing and human remains were discovered in a pasture in Paynesville, roughly 30 miles from the Wetterling home and abduction scene, and just a few miles from where Heinrich lived in 1989. On September 3, dental records revealed that the remains were Jacob's. Jacob's mother, Patty Wetterling, told local NBC affiliate that the remains discovered were really Jacob's. She stated, "I can only confirm that Jacob has been located, and our hearts have been broken. I'm not reacting to any media at the moment since I'm at a loss for words." Heinrich agreed to plead guilty to one of the 25 federal child pornography charges levied against him as part of the plea arrangement. He promised to testify about the Wetterling crime, in addition to exposing the location of the body and admitting guilty. Heinrich testified in front of Judge John Tunheim of the United States District Court for the District of Minnesota that he kidnapped and shackled the boy, drove him to a gravel dump near Paynesville, assaulted him, murdered him, and buried his body. Heinrich claimed that by listening to a police scanner that night, he was able to evade cops. After finding Wetterling's jacket had become uncovered, he returned to the place a year later and moved the body.
Heinrich also acknowledged to kidnapping and sexually assaulting Jared Scheierl earlier that year at the court hearing.
Heinrich's plea resulted in the prosecution agreeing not to charge him with Wetterling's murder.
Heinrich was sentenced to a maximum of 20 years in jail for child pornography in accordance with the plea deal.
Furthermore, the plea agreement allows state authorities to pursue his civil commitment as a sexual predator at the end of his federal jail sentence, perhaps preventing him from ever being released. Judge Tunheim said in sentencing Heinrich, "We're not going to pretend that this crime and sentencing has anything to do with child pornography. It's also about transforming the lives of so many children and parents who yearned for Jacob's homecoming while simultaneously fearing you emerging from the shadows. Every youngster knows Jacob Wetterling's story. You robbed the innocence of children in Minnesota's tiny communities, cities, and beyond." Heinrich might be released after 17 years in prison, but Judge Tunheim told him that was improbable because your crime is so horrible, so brutal, and awful that society will hardly ever allow you go free. Heinrich was moved to the Federal Medical Center, Devens, a federal prison in Massachusetts, in January 2017 to begin serving his 20-year term.
Jerry and Patty Wetterling, Wetterling's parents, founded the Jacob Wetterling Foundation, an advocacy group for children's safety, 4 months after their son was kidnapped.
The federal Jacob Wetterling Act, named after Jacob, was passed in 1994.
It was the first statute to establish a sex offender register in the state.
Megan's Law in 1996 and the Adam Walsh Child Protection and Safety Act in 2006 were two notable amendments to the law. The Jacob Wetterling Resource Center was established in 2008 by Jacob's parents' charity. It continues the Wetterling family's work to educate the public about who abducts children, how they do it, and what each of us can do to stop it. Jacob is commemorated by the Bridge of Hope, a Mississippi River crossing near St. Cloud.
What do you think about this video? Do let us know down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.